Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today I have a very special guest, none other than James Bond. He is a leading behavioral management and business marketing specialist renowned for his multi-award-winning book, Brain Glue. And with 13 years at the helm of prominent Southern California firm, James has worked with many prestigious clients. His early career included running an advertising agency in Montreal, collaborating with Fortune 500 firms. James has served as a workshop leader for the U.S. Small Business Administration and is a sought-after speaker at universities and podcasts. Residing in Thousand Oaks, California, James brings a wealth of expertise to the world of behavioral management and marketing. James, welcome to the show.
Lance, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I had first of all, the name is awesome. Everybody knows that, but I had to have you on because I love the title of the book, and when I was reading your bio, the word sticky stuck out to me, pun intended, because I read a book very on in my career. It was called Made to Stick. And I'm wondering how many parallels. Yeah, it is 100% help as a very highly logical person. Then it has helped me, and I'm hoping you can do the same for our audience in that same kind of regard of trying to, if you're a logical type A tech person, a lot of us are these days. How do you get to the emotional part of selling? Very important. So before we get into all that, tell me what got you here. Are you from a family of entrepreneurs? Where does that spirit come from?
I had an advertising. My dad had a business. He was an entrepreneur. He had lots of different businesses. I didn't inherit any money from him, so I had to do it myself, which is good. He wanted me to do that, which is great. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from Montreal. I live in Southern California now. And I had an advertising agency. And I'm a logical person, as most of the audience is logical. You know, most business owners are logical. And we didn't realize it gives you a disadvantage when it comes to marketing and behavioral management. I kind of worked my way up. I started with mechanical engineering, and then photography, then advertising. I learned advertising so I could do better as photographer. Mm-hmm. Then I learned marketing to do better in advertising, and then I learned behavioral management to do better in all of those. Okay, I mean, the bottom line is, if you're running ads, or if you're creating a product, or if you're starting a business, you want people buying from you, you know. And so I saw this anyway. I see ads that people think, wow, these are fantastic ads, like Got Milk. Okay, yeah. Wow, that's a great ad, right? It sucks from a marketing standpoint. People don't realize this. I have an article from Business Week. It says, got milked. After $385 million, sales still continue to decline. And why? Because a lot of people stopped drinking milk because, well, people drank milk because they wanted calcium. Okay, because calcium strengthens your bones and stuff. Well, you can get calcium from all kinds of things, including calcium tablets, but you can get it from, all kinds of food. Green food you can get the calcium from. But people who have lactose intolerance, you know, they drink milk, and then they suddenly start feeling not so good. And if somebody has lactose intolerance and we say, got milk, you might love the ad. Hi, hey, look who's the famous people inside the ad, but you're not going to buy the product. And so people have to understand the behavioral management aspect of it. Like, how do you get people to buy? And so I worked my way up in advertising in Montreal, and I eventually won major clients like Kraft Foods, Timex, Watches, Abbott Laboratories, Seagram's, their world headquarters is there. And then I had an opportunity to win the anti-drug campaign in America with powerful, logical reasons why you should not do drugs. I'm a logical guy. Logic, okay? Yep. Boy, was I messed up. I lost. And who did I lose to? A guy that had an ad. They did an ad with a guy holding an egg and said, this is your brain. They're cracking the shell and dropping the egg into a sizzling frying pan. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? When I saw the ad, I was terrified. First, I knew this was infinitely more powerful and profound than logical pitch that I had. But the second thing was, they don't teach emotional selling in school. And I had no clue. How do you do emotional selling? How did they ever come up with an idea like this? How can I come up with ideas like this? How can I use emotional selling? And so I love 3x5 cards. So on a 3x5 card, I wrote, "Your brain on drugs," so I'd remember the ad. Okay. and I put a box next to my computer and I call it the passion box. And every time I saw an ad or heard something that was emotionally powerful, not logic, but emotionally powerful, rather than trying to overanalyze it, I put it in a box in the hopes that eventually I'd be able to understand how to do emotional selling. After more than 10 years and we moved to Southern California, John Gray was telling me about this incredible book he wrote, Men, Women, and Relationships, one of the best relationship books ever. And he was suffering. Why was he suffering? Because almost nobody bought the book. He got a few thousand people bought the book. But people who bought the book and read it went like, wow, this is changing my life. This is profound. So he realized there's something wrong with the title of my book. I think that's what it is. So he changed the title of the book to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And then he tweaked the content just slightly. He put references to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus throughout the book, but otherwise it's the same book. What do you think happened? Almost overnight, 500,000 copies got sold, then 1 million and 2 million. I have a mistake in my book, okay? In my book, I say he sold 10 million copies. Well, I know Steve Harrison that helped him with marketing, and he said, wrong. I said, what? He said, we're already over 50 million copies sold. He went from 20,000 to 50 million copies just because he changed the title of the book. Wow. And it made me, when I got home, I dumped the passion box on my bed and I took a copy of his book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and I put it in a pile and I said, well, this is metaphors. Yep. Is metaphors the secret to emotional selling or one of the secrets? As I went through this, I realized that there are 14 brain triggers, like metaphors is one of them, that trigger the emotion centers of the brain and explode sales. And so I have this quote, okay? I say, laugh while you make a fortune, okay? Laugh while you make a fortune, okay? That's not the only thing. You don't have to make people laugh. But I change the titles of people's products, how they describe their, hang on, Pam, your phone. I describe how, my wife.
we can't hear it over here, so you're good.
Oh, good, okay.
Yep.
But they changed how they describe their product or service, and suddenly sales explode. I have this construction company, okay? After 10 years, they reached 2 million of sales. By changing how they describe themselves, we went from 2 million to 10 million in 1 year. And then they reached 32 million 2 years later, all because of brain glue. And let me give you, I say laugh while you make a fortune. So let me give you some examples of brain glue phrases, okay?
Yeah.
If that's okay?
Yeah. Keep going. You're great.
So, okay.
I'm just buying your book right now. I'm not joking.
Okay. It's changing people's lives and they love it because it's short. It's like it gets right to the point and people go, whoa, I never thought of that. This is one of the things that happens with brain glue. When people read the book, they start recognizing it. Oh, that's why they're so successful. Coca-Cola uses alliteration, a repetition of sound. Nobody even thought of that. You know, I mean, there's just these tools. I mean, Coca-Cola, Best Buy, PayPal, Rocky Road ice cream. But so let me give you a few totally different brain glue phrases, okay? Because people use it in quotes too. You know, it's why famous people like Frank Lloyd Wright, you have architects, is famous because people can actually quote him. So if you're an architect and people quote you, do you have a cool quote? So let me give you a bunch of examples, just quick examples, okay? Because it works with comedy too. I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy, okay? I'm an old guy, so I would say I'd rather wake up and pee than pee and wake up, okay? Mae West, who was in the early days in the movie industry, said, a hard man is good to find, okay? Good girls go to heaven, bad girls go everywhere. Warren Buffett, who I work with, his team said, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Then we have products like Squatty Potty. It's a mom and her son living in Utah with no business experience, but they watch Shark Tank. Shark Tank, by the way, is a metaphor. It's not really, you don't see a tank full of sharks, by the way. But so they watched Shark Tank and they loved it. And so they invented this toilet stool that helps you when you go to the bathroom. And a doctor said to her, if you raise your feet 6 to 8 inches off the ground when you're on the toilet, it's actually easier to go to the bathroom. So they created a toilet stool and they said, oh, well, why don't we, see if we can sell it? But they said, we don't want to call it the toilet stool. That's not a cool name.
Yeah.
My wife said, maybe they can call it the stool, but I don't think that works. Okay. But she's thinking, like, what's another name for toilet? Potty. Oh, and you're kind of squatting. The Squatty Potty. They went from 0 to $100 million of sales in 18 months, in less than 2 years. I mean, how many people out there have $100 million of sales, okay? Just because they had a good product, but a lot of people have a good product, but you don't have a good name, so you have Squatty Potty. Paul Tran created an electric razor for man's private areas. I don't want to get too much into this, but okay. So he wanted to come up with a name that's easy to understand what the product is, but it doesn't offend people. So he's thinking about it, and he said, well, it's just like a lawnmower. Why don't I call it the lawnmower? Okay. So and he actually changed the name of his product, his company, to Manscaped. We're going to landscape a man with a lawnmower. Okay.
Yeah.
So I never bought one. If I bought one, I wouldn't share it with my buddies. Let's start there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I called a friend, I could say, hey, Joe, guess what I did? I just bought the lawnmower. He said, why? You have to mow your lawn? I said, no. It's to shave man's private areas. He started laughing, and I could hear him saying, hey, Mary, his wife or girlfriend, guess what James just bought? The lawnmower. Why? He has to mow his lawn? No, he's shaving his,
Yeah.
like it's word of mouth spreads. And this became a more than $100 million of sales. In fact, major companies like Braun that owns electric razors was trying to buy him out. He said, no, I'm having too much fun and making too much money. So we've got, there's just tons of big ass fans. Carrie Smith added the word ass, big ass fans. And suddenly in 15 years, a lot of people, after 15 years, you want to sell your company. After 15 years, he sold his company for $500 million. Okay. Big ass fans exploded. So you take a look at things like that. Malcolm X had the phrase, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock, the rock landed on us, okay? He said, when you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. There's a TV show, Ridiculousness. These all use brain glue tools. Bobby Flay is a famous chef. He created a TV show called Boy Meets Grill instead of Boy Meets Girl. There's New Pig Corporation. There's a Naked Chef. There's Blue Emu. It works fast and you won't stink. These are tools that wake up the brain. And so here's how I describe how brain glue works.
Okay.
You get in. So I have three. I'll give you a few phrases first. Okay.
Yeah.
First, you want a rhyming phrase could help.
Okay.
So I do switch your pitch if you want to get rich. Okay. Then I said, okay, so I want to get desire is an important thing. I'm building desire. So what rhymes with desire? So I have a phrase, brain glue shows you how to light the fire of desire in your buyer. Okay, so those are phrases. But I know that metaphors can be really powerful. So I was struggling coming up with a metaphor. It takes a little while. Sometimes you have to really, brainstorm with yourself. But I realized how to do this. And it's, so you leave your home in the morning. You drive past all your neighbors' homes, whether it's homes or apartments, whatever else it is, okay? You're not going to look at everyone and go, oh, look at his home, look at his home, look at his home. You know them all. You don't even bother looking at it anymore. You're just driving because you're going from here to your work or to a client or wherever else you're going, okay?
Yep.
To the store.
Yep.
But one day, let's say today, you get in your car and you start driving down the street, and two homes down, there's flames coming out of your neighbor's window. You're going to stop and go, whoa, his house is on fire. Does he know this? Has he called 911? Is he going to burn down my house? It wakes up your brain immediately. That's what brain glue does. Mm-hmm. Brain glue, you look at ad, product. You're not going to, what you want is flames coming out of your product, flames coming out of your name, where you're going to look at it and go, Squatty Potty? What the heck? Big ass fans? What the heck? What? Where it wakes you up. I was, just a last thing on this. So I had a TV next to my computer, and they had, I wasn't really watching it. And then they had Johnny Unitas, I think it was Johnny Unitas, who was a famous baseball player. And he's talking about this thing called Blue Emu, which is anti-arthritis cream. You put it on your joints and it makes you, feel better. And he's going, Blue Emu, it works fast and you won't stink. What did he just say? It works fast and you won't stink. From that moment forward, I was listening to the whole commercial. Okay, it works fast and you won't stink. It woke me up. And that's what brain glue does, is it wakes you up. You've got to be able to wake people. We talk to people all the time and try to convince them of stuff. And I know you've got lots of architects. So architects consider this. I have this friend who has a house, and the architect, and it's near a forest, okay? And he built it high up. the architect. And what the architect did was he named it, and he named it the Bird's Nest.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he always invites people to the Bird's Nest. He said he loved this guy because this guy said, we're going to make it high up so it blends in with the environment, and this is the Bird's Nest. And by giving the building a name, the Bird's Nest, suddenly it became really exciting. And we, guys would see. He says to his friends, like he said to us, "Come on, guys, we're going to spend a weekend in the Bird's Nest." The Bird's Nest that's my home. The Bird's Nest. Interesting. Like, what's the Bird's Nest? We got to check it out. And so that's why when you understand the power of brain glue, when you understand it, you got to wake up the brain so people go, huh? Whoa, huh? That's interesting. Then you've got a much better chance of making a fortune, actually, and laughing while you make a fortune in many cases.
Yeah. You got my brain, pun intended, thinking, and there's no glue right now because it's just going all over the place. And you're reminding me of when Alex and I first started our business about 14 years ago, and we went on the offensive with Google Ads, and we were trying to be like anti-architect with the ads. So what I'm getting at is, like, I'm wondering if there's any ideas that you could provide for the audience. And let me tell you some of the hot buttons that the general public typically has about architects. And maybe you could even fill in some too. Like, trust me, you're not going to offend me. You're not going to offend my audience. I like ripping off the Band-Aid and just saying let's just be honest about the whole situation, right? So architects to the general public, like, every once in a while they'll appear in a movie, and then the other architects get all angry about it because they'll be like, we don't carry around blueprints anymore. Like, there's just all these stereotypes is what I'm getting at, right? Some are true. So I think a lot of the general public thinks I can't afford an architect. So architects are maybe too expensive for their blood, right? A lot of the general public also, and they're right about this, is that architects' egos are just giant. They're huge. Frank Lloyd Wright is a very good example of that, right? Like, he would dictate the furniture that would have to go into his houses with the clients. He would only choose his clients, that sort of thing. So some of I remember these ads we would put up on Google, which actually pissed off a bunch of other competing architects at the time that we started off, was like, title would be like, architects without attitude, or tired of overly expensive architects, hire F9 Productions today. Architects who drop their ego at the door. What I'm getting at is, like, how could architects tap into some of the emotions and get to turn heads with potential ads in that kind of way?
So I was just watching this because you talked about you being the anti-architect.
Yeah.
Andrew Loog Oldham. Most people don't know him, but he helped the Rolling Stones when they started. And the Beatles were suddenly famous. So he decided to make the Rolling Stones anti-Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mick Jagger said, it's changed us completely. We never thought of ourselves that way. But he said, the Beatles wear nice suits when they're on TV and stuff like that. Every one of you guys has to wear a totally different type of clothing. When you're writing music, I want you to write music that's a little harsher than the Beatles. You're writing a love song, you're writing a hate song, or not, maybe not quite that way. And it helped define them. So if you're the anti-architect, would that get people's attention? I have this guy who's a friend. His name is David Baer, and he has an advertising company. He teaches advertising people. And so I'm going, you need a name that stands out. Well, Bear, what's the first thing we think of when we think of Bear? For me, it's Bare Naked. Why don't we call it Bear, even though he spells it differently, B-E-A-E-R.
Yeah.
So why don't you call it Bare Naked Advertising? Is that going to get people's attention? Well, how about Bare Naked Architecture? Suddenly people are going to go, whoa, you're what? Yeah, I'm the Bare Naked Architecture company. We focus on natural, blah, okay. When you talk about Frank Lloyd Wright had a clear philosophy that it has to be the people mixed with the environment. It has to be good for you and good for the environment. It has to mix with the environment. So if people said, well, what was Frank Lloyd Wright's philosophy? People can state it. He's been dead who knows how long. Okay, a long time now. And yet people can say, I looked it up just before I got on. I said, Frank Lloyd Wright's philosophy. Yep. Bam, it comes up. They've got it clear. So if you're an architect, what's your philosophy? And can you say it in a way that people go like, oh, interesting, And when you define yourself, the clearer you can define yourself, the easier it is for people to remember you. The problem is that, Lance, your name is Lance Cayko. Okay?
Cayko is pronounced Psycho.
Psycho.
I don't know
really?
if this helps. Yes, I don't know if this helps. Yep.
It does. It's Psycho.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. I mean, I just saw this thing. Okay.
We thought Cayko and Gore architecture because that's my business partner's last name.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant, because it's memorable. It
Yeah.
sticks in the brain. Hey, you got to go Psycho. But now you have to have a philosophy that relates also somehow. That we're going to give you something that's going to really excite you. Okay. Psycho excites. Okay. Something like that. Okay. So Birkenstock shoes has a massive campaign right now. Okay. And it's called Ugly for a Reason. You think that gets people's attention?
Oh yeah.
Ugly for a reason for a shoe company? What? You know, it says, yeah, because your feet are, you know, like now they can tell their story. You know, your feet are a big part of your health. And people don't understand, if you have lousy shoes, then you walk around and you feel bad and you don't even realize it's because of your shoes. Your shoes will help you feel better during the day. And so what you want to do is you want to come up with a hook, and then you want to have a story to tell beyond the hook. Okay. Or a story that will resonate. I'll give you an example. I have a friend, Robin Thompson, who's a finance expert, and she's on ABC television as the finance coach for people. And so I said, she's got a finance program to help women who make over $100,000 a year and look at their bank account and they don't have that much money.
Yeah.
So I said, as we were talking through it, like, what's the biggest problem? Well, if you're talking to a woman, it's usually her husband or her boyfriend is going to wonder, like, why'd you spend like all these thousands of dollars on this program? And so we came up with a phrase that so she could explain it to her husband or her boyfriend. And she says, I'm tired of giving my money away. Okay. And now we came up with an example. She has this example she loves. She says, do you realize, what's it called? The coffee thing. Everybody,
Starbucks. Yep.
When you're spending money on Starbucks, you could actually save $100,000 a year if you don't, $100,000.
Yeah.
If you don't buy Starbucks all the time. Let me show you. Okay. Then that's just Starbucks. Let me show you all these other things. Okay. But you're giving them a hook. And so, but the hook is, I'm tired of giving my money away. And so, we actually changed the name of her company, her program, to Women in Control. It's women in control of your life. You can't control your life if you can't control your finances. So if you're giving all your money away, But she said it in such a way that people go like, oh, I have this guy who's got a nonprofit that he helps young kids who are in jail to get jobs and to get careers. And so we came up with a cool phrase for him. But I also have a sub phrase, and the phrase is, say hello to my little friends. Okay. And so people know the phrase, so now he's using it. So now every time they hear that phrase, they're going to think of him too.
Yeah,
and it's also going to resonate. What we want is flames coming out of our name or our service. So Psycho, that's great. But
yeah.
but you have fun with it because you have to give them a Here's what's great about it. Like, you want to psychological psycho. Okay, we're going to give you stuff that is going to resonate so much, and when people see your property, your friends are going to want to sleep at your house, or whatever, if you're in architecture.
Yeah, this is great. Let's go into the book a little bit. Tell us, if without giving the whole book away, if people, I just picked it up, I'm going to read it. You're one of these authors I get on and I go, I'm sold. Like it's sticking with me. I'm going to read this. I'm going to change my life and profession and all that. If other people are listening though, what is kind of, how does the book break down? Is it kind of give them a how-to and examples of how they can start doing this? Okay.
Absolutely. That's why people love the book. It's short and sweet. It gets right to the point. There are 14 brain triggers. Okay. The intro is good because it gives you an overview of stuff. And so that's really good, I think. And people say that they like it too. And also it's funny because brain glue also includes humor, because comedians use it all the time. And so I add humor to it. It adds a lot of fun to the book. Okay. But the book has 14 brain triggers, and I'll give you examples of some of the brain triggers. Okay. So Jack and Jill went up the
hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I bet everybody on the call knows that next word, hill. Okay.
Yeah.
If I was on my deathbed and somebody said, hey, James, Jack and Jill went up, I go, hill, the fence up, hill. When was the last time you heard that? For me, it was like, 10, 20, maybe 50 years ago. I'm old, so what can I say?
Yeah.
And yet I remember it like it was yesterday because rhyme sticks to the brain like glue. Okay. So here's an amazing thing, I think. So I was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me. Most of us remember that song from the Eagles, one of my favorite songs, okay? They didn't mean to do this, but because it's in the song, it boosted the tourism of Winslow, Arizona. Winslow, Arizona is, I have this woman who I was talking to who's like lives in Arizona, and she says, "You ever been to Winslow? It's a hole in the wall." But what they did was they put up a statue of a lamppost that it's on top of it. It says standing on the corner, and it's got a guy with a guitar, and a statue below it. And then behind it in big letters, it says Winslow, Arizona. Okay. And people just drive by. They're driving on Route 66, and they go, "Oh wow, let's go to Winslow, Arizona. We got to check it out." They pull over there and they take pictures of themselves along with the statue. Of course, then they buy some products from the store, they eat lunch there, whatever else. It's skyrocketed. It skyrocketed their tourism. It wasn't even meant to. It was just a cool song, okay? But it's the power of rhyme. And so, I talked about Squatty Potty, okay? It's rhyme. There's so many products that you think of that have rhyme in them, and we don't even think about it. I mean, there's just, and let me give you an example because it isn't just naming your product. How about if you're on your way to go to jail and your lawyer uses rhyme? If the glove doesn't fit, you have to acquit.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that resonates in the brain. I mean, I remember it was O.J. Simpson's trial, and Johnny Cochran, his attorney, used that. And so after the trial, two of the jurors were being interviewed, and they were asked, with all that evidence against OJ, how come you found him not guilty? And one of them turns and says, "We knew if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. The glove didn't fit. We had to acquit." That rhyme sticks to the brain, just like Jack and Jill went up the hill, And so when you use rhyme in the name of your product or your service, that can help. So one of the things I have people do is, like I say, switch your pitch if you want to get rich. Brain glue shows you how to light the fire of desire in your buyer. So it starts the process, okay? And so rhyme is a good one to do. So you list the names of your product, service, or your, whatever you're trying to promote. Just list as many words as possible that kind of go with that. And then look for rhyming words, and then you can have fun. I mean, for me, it was, switch your pitch. So I was going, pitch, we help pitch. Well, what else? Pitch. Oh, rich rhymes with pitch. Oh, cool. What do we switch your pitch? Oh, switch rhymes with switch your pitch if you want to get rich. Bam. Suddenly I had I think a cool title.
I'm trying. Yeah, I've got one right now. And so this is fun. It's like, I was like, what rhymes with architect? I was like, and I'm like, some of the reasons we get hired, a lot of the reasons why we get hired from other people is they're disgruntled with their other architects. They just don't pick up the phone. Again, this attitude of like, they're not even serving their clients. So I thought like, tired of neglect from your architect. And then how do you go? So like this is really fun, James. I hope people will pick up the book because I certainly have. As soon as I go upstairs after we're done with this interview, I'm going to tell my business partner to not only listen to our episode, and then also pick up the book. And I think it's going to help with his Google AdWords. And maybe we'll be laughing all the way to the bank, like you say. James, go ahead.
Architect. So home is another word. So architect might be designing home or a commercial, but let's say home, okay? Throne is like home, okay?
Yep.
So design. So you have the first part. What did you just say again?
Tired of neglect from your architect.
Turn your home into a throne.
Oh, beautiful.
But James, I mean, just
yeah, I get where you're going. Like
when you say something like that, now it takes have some fun with it, and then look up similes. And if you're talking about architecture, so then what are words that relate to architecture? Yep. Home, office, or whatever else it is, and then take those words, whatever you focus on, and then look for words that rhyme with that. And you'll be amazed. I'm amazed how often it is that you come up with words and go like, oh, that works, and suddenly you can relate to that. So rhyme is one of them.
Yeah. James, we're running up on the half hour, and I'm gotta probably have you back on again. I just think it's that worth it. Maybe after I read the book a little bit more, I can pick your brain, pun intended again. So, but two last questions I ask everybody as we run up on the half hour here. Knowing what you know, first one is knowing what you know now. If you go back in time when you first started your business, what is one piece of advice you give your former self?
Come up with metaphors. I mean, that's another brain glue tool, but we had this thing that we learned. We struggled with a business. We had a behavioral management firm, one of America's leading behavioral management firms. but it was hard to explain to people what we did. What we did is, like, one of the services we would offer would be to get people to tackle something bigger than they could tackle on their own. You know, when you have a coach. And so how do we describe that? It was really hard. And we realized it's like a personal trainer. A personal trainer gets you to do more push-ups than you could do on your own. So I would say we're like a personal trainer. A personal trainer can get you to do more push-ups than you can do on your own. We use psychology and get your top people to be able to tackle bigger projects than they could tackle on their own. Once we had that, it became powerful. But it took a long time for us to come up with that. And that's why, for me, I would say, like, come up with an analogy or metaphor right up front. It's just like, and be as crazy as possible to start with. It's just like a naked man running through your backyard. You know, I don't know if that, you know, but just be as crazy as possible first. And then suddenly, whoa, you know, suddenly it's like, you know, the lawnmower, you know, I mean, it's just, it helps you, but it also helps them. I mean, I'm telling you, laugh while you make a fortune. You know, if you can get your prospects to laugh, there's a better chance that they're going to start buying from you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is, James, you're just a gold mine. I'm going to have you back on. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to have you back on. I love it so much so far. If people want to pick up the book, if they want to follow you, how can they do that?
So there are two ways. One is Brain Glue on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, so that's good. But if you also go to the website, yesbrainglue.com, it's got lots of information on brain glue and tips, and this shows you stuff also. I think people would really enjoy that. So yesbrainglue.com is a good way to do that.
Awesome. James, thanks so much. Stay warm as you are down there in California. We're cold as heck up here, and I can't wait to read the book. Appreciate your time.
Lance, thank you so much.